Well, okay, welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast. How many episodes? I haven't even counted. We're
I
on a roll
know.
though. We're on a roll.
We're so on a roll. I love it. I was so happy today. Like I had to go drop off a birthday present for my daughter's teacher
Yeah.
today. And I was like walking around. I had to get Starbucks because like one of the moms, coordinated how each mom does a thing. So my job was to
Yes.
bring her Starbucks. And
Yes.
I could just feel myself like walking around like I'm going home and I'm gonna do a podcast after this. Like I just felt happy. I was like, this is my life. This is what we're
Yeah.
doing. This is so exciting. I love it.
I, well, I was up way too late
Oh, you were?
in the bathtub watching our last two episodes about human design.
Oh, awesome.
And
Okay.
I'm just loving our guests so much.
I'm in love with every single one of them,
I mean, like
right?
we have incredible people.
Yeah. Well, you know
That
what, Siri? You know what you would tell me about that.
I do.
That's a reflection of how incredible you are and I am.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. We are meeting incredible people. Like I haven't even met the Jenna that we're interviewing today. I
Hmm.
was just like scrolling on her Instagram and I'm like, I'm already in love with her.
She's so
Yeah.
cool. I don't know her super well, but she
Uh-huh.
did do an acting role in a online table read for a movie
Okay.
that I wrote years ago, but then I like
Okay.
revisited. It's called Training Tim, and she, volunteered her acting time
Uh-huh.
for free, like so generous,
Yeah.
and came on and did this table read for me. And she had a small part only because I didn't know her very well and I already had all the other parts cast.
Hmm.
But she was so engaged. She was listening so intently. She was so fearless in her energy. And you can see
Hmm.
that when you look at her Instagram.
Yeah.
You can see how fearless she is and how
Yeah.
tapped into her body she is. And I'll read her bio when she comes on, but I just felt her presence so strongly. She was so dropped in. And before we did the table read, she came to my breathwork class because
Mm,
I did a little breathwork class for the actors before we started
perfect.
the reading, which was
Perfect.
so fun. And she's amazing. She was so cool. And I was just like, I need her and to stay in my life. And then when we were trying to think of who else we wanted to have on, I was like, oh my God, Jenna. You know,
She's perfect.
I've been watching her dancing on Instagram, and she does sensual dancing, she does
Hmm.
pole dancing. Pole dancing is so hard. I've never actually done it. Have you done it?
I have not.
You
No.
should, you could.
I feel like I would be good at it.
Yeah, you would.
Um, but yeah, I just haven't ever done it. But I watched her Instagram. I sent you that thing. I was like, holy hot. She is a hot woman. She
Yeah.
is sexy.
She's like, she's like, Blight, not Blight, the actress Ron Howard's daughter, little bit, the redhead,
Oh, yeah. Yes.
but like a more embodied version.
Yes. Yes. She's everything. I mean, well, and you know what I love? She calls herself an embodiment alchemist. Ooh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, no, and I mean, she plays the piano, she sings, she dances, she's a creative, and then she's also clearly, on this journey that we're on.
Yeah.
Um,
She's multi-hyphenate and she's also global. Like I see her all over the world traveling different, she's in Europe and exploring and I just like, oh, I want to be more like that.
Traveling all over. You were in London recently. You travel.
Yes, we did go to New York City and London in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Because
That was temporary. That's temporary.
I had my injury. But
Yeah.
but maybe I should just read her bio now.
Whatever
I
you want.
I think I will because
He's
we've got
gonna have a lot
because
to say.
we started a little early and she probably won't be here for another 5 minutes. So meet Jenna C Johnson, the dynamic amorphous amalgamation of actor, eating psychology, an embodiment coach, musician, conversation creator,
Mm.
explorer, self-expressionator-gator, and then some. I mean, she's so playful. Though anchored in Los Angeles with Midwest Chicagoan roots, my sister's in Chicago, that's so cool. She transcends geographical boundaries. As the more she solo travels and experiences and loves the humans, colors, and emotions of the world, she understands home to be more and more everywhere and nowhere. Jenna's life unfolds as an intentional and powerful narrative where titles merely scratch the surface of her ever evolving story. That's pretty
Oh my
cool.
God. Siri, you are bringing on like an incredible guest today. I'm so excited. I can't wait to talk to her and learn more about her. Like that's just like she's my hero already. I wanna be her when I grow up. I wanna,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
And she was doing this news show during COVID, which was interesting. Was watching
Oh,
a little bit of that, like
okay.
her own news channel. So
Okay.
that was interesting. Like she kind of does everything.
Sounds like it. She's
Yeah.
my kind of girl.
Yeah.
She's my kind of girl. All of me. She's all of her. She's all of her.
So what else can we share about?
Um, okay, maybe we should talk about how we need to find a pole dancing class and then report back to it. Maybe we need to find a pole dancing instructor and have her on our show
Yes.
and then go take a pole dancing class and then talk about it.
Yeah.
It's very intimidating to me
Why?
because
You're so
um
strong.
well, I feel like from what I've heard, you get like really banged up, like your legs get all
Yeah.
bruised and banged up, and it's like
Yeah.
it
I
looks sexy, but it's like, hard on the body.
well, I watched J Lo's one of her documentaries or
Well, the movie.
the Super Bowl thing about her that on
Oh
Netflix
yes,
show.
I
I
did too.
watched oh you saw that and you saw
I did.
her thighs and how they were like
Yeah,
all bruised
yeah,
up. Like
yeah,
it's hard.
yeah.
I
Like that doesn't totally appeal to me.
well,
I'm just
yeah,
saying.
I mean, I think yeah, you have to be committed and you also don't have a lot of fat on your legs. So because you're so fit.
Mm,
Is that
yeah,
mean? Is that mean to say that?
no, but I don't have a lot of padding, is what you're saying, to like
Yeah.
handle the bruising.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it might hurt more, but you're very strong, so maybe it wouldn't.
I feel like it would. I mean, you're squeezing your legs as hard as
Yeah.
you can around this pole. And
Yeah.
also, when you're going around it, I imagine like it's kind of like a rug burn sensation, right? Do I want a rug burn on my inner thighs? Ah, that's where it's coming from. I'm feeling a little spicy today. Spicy today.
Well,
In the morning, and I'm already feeling super spicy. Mm.
I mean, I feel like
I'm still
if
sweating.
I am too. Yeah. But
Okay.
luckily no one can smell us.
This is true.
Because we both don't wear like real deodorant.
I don't wear any deodorant except occasionally it's like a natural one. But you know
Right.
what I discovered? Now that I don't wear deodorant, I actually don't like stink.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I know that sounds weird, but
No,
occasionally,
it's not
you
good
know,
for you. Yeah, it blocks your pores.
yeah, there she is. Okay, enough about the talk about stinking. I went from spicy rug burns on the inner thighs to stinking on the armpits. This is
Jenna, we just wanted to make you feel super comfortable by talking about these awkward things right before you came on. We can't hear you yet because you're still muted.
Good thing we got that figured out right away. Yes.
Good
No, bring on the
morning.
awkward. Good morning. Good
Ah.
morning.
How are you today?
Oh man. Well, real talk is like something like this is going to be so therapeutic because I'll be speaking into the possibility of everything versus being like waking up with like a job projection email and a this email and a this feeling, you know, so I'm in a very in-between moment
Mhm.
on different things and trajectory. And so yeah, I'm like in a middle space.
We're here for it.
We understand. I very much understand. Very
Yeah.
much understand. But yeah, this is the place to be. And these are the conversations to have
Mhm.
Yeah.
to be in our most, you know, embodied, aligned, authentic, fired up, turned on, full of faith, full of possibility. These conversations do it for us. And so hopefully
Yes.
when you get off this call, you'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
it's all happening.
I mean, we just read your bio and we've just been talking about how you're our hero.
Oh,
And we want to
go
be
on.
we we want to be more like you when we grow up.
Oh. I do too. I actually love being me and I want to be me when I grow up. And then it's like, ew. So then where do the other thoughts come from? Right. And this is, you know, all of us when we do
Yep.
this to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's
We
a
have-
lot to talk about, but first of all, I just want to say I sent Siri one of your clips of your dancing when you're like doing like the heels dancing, and I was like, I'm already in love. I'm already in love with this woman.
I love it. And actually, Amber,
are
are you
sexy.
also? Oh, thank you so much. Are you also on the west side of the world or at
Yes.
the coast in Washington also?
No,
Or are you
I'm
in
actually
LA?
in Palos Verdes, which is
Okay.
close to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
You're in LA?
I am. Yes, in Echo Park.
Yep.
Yep.
We're close. We could take a
Yes.
dance class together.
We could. Oh my gosh. Then Amber, we will. And also, pardon ladies, what I'm going to do is turn on one of the lamps
Do
just
it.
so there's a little bit more
Yeah, go
of this
for it.
moment happening.
Maybe we arrange, Siri, for when you come out in February that we all go take a pole class together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited. We were just
Well, yeah. Well,
we should have seen your face.
no, I want to. Yes. And I'm imagining myself trying to pole
A
dance.
heels class? Oh,
We both want to learn how to pole dance with you.
yes.
Oh, kind of. I'm a little concerned about the rug burns on the inner thighs from the pole. This is, I don't mind what you were doing where it was just dancing and you know that's kind of more my speed, but I'm open to trying the pole thing.
Heard on that. Yeah. Pole is another beast where it's so almost acrobatic and your body does like, especially if you know your body to be one that just in general is going to be sensitive or can bruise easily, like it's going to be a bruise fest.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you just suck it up and deal with it.
Kinda and no at the same time, because I don't know. I don't know. And maybe this would be like all of our journeys. I don't know many people who are like super acrobatic, having started in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, off the top of my head, but I would love to talk to them about their body's healing process. Cause I know as a young person, I was like, cool, bruise me up. But I do have a different sort of sense of how my body does feel and repair. So, you know, it would be neat to have more community and talking through, you know, what it's like to do it as our bodies are just growing, you know?
Yeah.
Do you guys know Kelly Brogan, Dr. Kelly Brogan?
Yes.
She's been on quite a journey, and
Yes.
sharing a lot about her, you know, her experience with pole dancing. Should be a fun
True.
one to get on.
Oh my gosh, you should. Oh wow. Ladies, yeah, you should talk to her. Ooh, and then I'll be right, like, you know, right there at the screen for that episode. I'll be at that screen for
You'll
all
be
of
at
the
that.
episodes, but yes.
Okay, so we read your bio before you came on, and so we're gonna jump in. I want to first of all just say that the way that you described yourself as an embodiment alchemist, I love that term. How, was there, because obviously like a lot of life has happened between, you know, you being an embodiment alchemist and what it took to be here.
Right.
So was there like a specific experience or a catalyst or something that happened in your life that you would say you were never the same after, or that put you on this trajectory?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Actually, as just a clarifying question too, have we already started?
Oh yeah. We're in it.
We started 15 minutes before you popped on.
Okay, because I was like, no, because my wondering was, am I warming up right now, or are we on? Okay, good to know. All right, good.
We're warm.
Know. We're warm. Okay, yeah. Well, so the two part of that answer to your question is embodiment alchemist totally arrived at me early January 2022, when I was knowing that there was some bridge to be made between all of what has been like a 12-year long healing journey, like a super specific healing journey in the body, to wanting to speak on it and wanting to speak to my community of magic makers, but also be not palatable, I hate that word. Because I find myself able to connect with all people, I'm also wanting to continue to speak from that place instead of speaking in a place that is potentially wards off some. Like I would much rather have everyone come. And then of course, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and neither are any of us, but I love the idea that what I can share can be received by anyone listening. And alchemy is something of such like an ancient word that is both attributed to the magic side of things, mystical world of things, but it's also absolutely something that can be received by historic lovers, religion lovers. Like there was just something about alchemy that felt really resonant for me. And then The Alchemist and the book The Alchemist and all the things, like just all of that just felt like it arrived at my mouth the moment that I turned on my video to start doing some video shares, which I loved doing. And I also fell off that bandwagon. And I'm in exploration currently of like how to step back onto it in a way that's sustainable, where I can be consistent and also do it through all of the weather of life. Because I really found myself stepping off of many things last year out of a sort of heartbreak, depression of just all sorts. But yeah, it was a title that inspired me. And so used it. I guess that is a one part answer. The two part is absolutely that there was in 2011 for me, this beginning of just dissolving of all ideas of what I knew myself as, what was safe, what was not safe, what was healthy, what was not healthy, what was love, what was not love. I had had a lot of organ failure that was due to, again, like a whole concoction of life. So it was in part antibiotic doses that I was taking due to falling ill, due to heartbreak, due to overly tiring my body out in the way that I was living. So everything always being very, very connected in that way. But that the initial sort of like body moment where I felt like I didn't understand what was happening in my body happened in 2011. And then there was this period of like a year of just like consistent, unknown expressions in my body, like body acne everywhere, pain in all these different organs that I'd never known existed, doctors being very unfamiliar with what was happening in me, and then so much of it also being invisible versus what could be actually seen. I remember a makeup artist being one of the first people that blew my mind, where they were like, oh yeah, when you break out here, it has to do with this. When you break out here, it's allergic reaction. And I was like, oh, like there's an allergic reaction happening in my body to the way that I'm living, to what I'm consuming. And so it began this whole big journey of healing the body from inside out, after already luckily having stepped into some transformational sort of workshop rooms where I was already in a space where I could do what was required to like really stand for myself and heal. And what evolved from that was just a lot of, you know, it's a weird thing. We're like, oh, the directions of my brain are going everywhere. But just that if I were to speak about my experience at that time, it would be so fresh and new to me. Whereas I feel like talking about it on the other side, there's kind of a sense of like, it's hard to speak about something that feels so distant in a way. But I do feel like it's coming back now more so, because I've had a lot of breakdown over the last couple of years where I'm like, oh, now I feel it again. Now I'll be telling a new story soon too about what this process was for me. But I do feel like there was something about 2012 at that time when we didn't really have huge social media sort of outlets for things. And it was also a time of needing to be very professional and validated with degrees and whatever to even like put up a YouTube, or if, you know, I think here we are also involved in the entertainment world. There was a lot of rules of like, don't put yourself out there if it's not super professional. Like don't have a, you know, an account on YouTube where casting directors can find you, and me, your manager, is sending you out, and, you know, you don't want to embarrass me, and like just all these things. So there was so much life happening that I didn't get to share yet. So fast forwarding to now is like, my whole journey since 2012 has been this body breakdown, body phoenix rising from the ashes sort of renewal, then also the cycle of processing what it is to be past that point and not coveting those transformational times as if that was when your life really mattered. And then being with your body as it continues to ebb and flow in this beautiful womanly way, and show up also in ways that blow my mind, blow our minds, where like the body is just so wise and wants to protect you sometimes, and show it in the body, and wants to feel lighter at other times. And like, it doesn't have to do with what you eat, because I can vouch for that, because I've eaten the very similar way ever since 2012 due to now what are more so like food allergies that I have, but that I feel very freed by, because I love eating and feeling just good. But yeah, just the body's so spectacular. And then I found this special certification program that was so much better than any sort of graduate studies I could have found, because I looked and looked, and there's just nothing that isn't based in super like dietetic old Western 1950s knowledge. And it was an eating psychology certification program. And I did that in 2015. And since that point, I've mostly utilized all of that inspiration and knowledge to create conversations and gatherings and start companies that were about like healing the divide, and really being interested in sexual wounding and how that shows up with both men and women, and bringing again more of a bridge there. And then just so much of it has been underneath, you know, the surface. And so 2012 is when I first started to really put myself out there as coach and as embodiment alchemist. That was a very long answer.
I love it.
Question.
It's filled
Yeah.
with so much wisdom. I mean, just listening to what you just said, it's like, oh, wow. I mean, your brain is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Siri, that's like the best compliment you can ever give somebody. That's so fun.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah.
We would just love to like go on a little retreat with you and just chat all day about
Yes.
all of it. All of it.
Yes.
Talk to me. So I want to know more about the eating psychology, and I
Mhm.
want to know more about how sexual wounding, what you've discovered and learned, how sexual wounding shows up in both men and women. Those are the two things that,
Right.
I mean, there were so many things that I want to know more about, but those were the two that kind of stood out to me that I'd love for you
Yeah.
to share more.
Oof. One hundo. So eating psychology is, and now actually the school has changed to be mind body eating coach certification, because there was a sort of like, do we want to bring in, maybe it was like to bring in the actual designation of psychology could mislead, because we're not graduating from our certification with like a, a degree that says
Okay.
that we are a therapist.
Right.
Exactly. But the whole of the study was mind blowing. If anybody listening is intrigued by eating psychology, it is basically a year-long program that delves into every single crevice and corner of embodiment and how we are as eaters in this world, as far as it not being about what we eat, or like what we do. It is about the process behind it. Like, like who we are as eaters.
How you
Are
relate,
we?
how you're relating to what you're eating?
Yeah, well, not even that, because I more like each of us exist and eat and live in such a, like worlds of ways. How I truly, like, I feel like my volcanic, the brain just volcanoed in me. Like, I'm going to circle back to that one when I feel like my brain has more of a dropped in clarity on it.
Cool.
The sexual wounding part hopefully will guide me there. So sexual wounding was something that really resonated with me. And when I heard the term, I felt like that was a language that I'd already, or like something I'd already known, that was then languaged for me, a concept. And who I have felt myself to be ever since I was little was somebody who felt a lot of pain just from being born as I was. Like, my body didn't feel like other people's bodies once that started to be pointed out. For me personally, I have, though I am, with, oh gosh, like, to get graphic or whatnot, like, I have female genitalia and I have, things that could put me into the sex category of female. And I overall felt a gender-like association with female. And this was way, before we had, pronouns discussed and all of these things. But I didn't feel like my body was specific for me. And there was also, as I grew, I have a breastbone that protrudes, and that is a sort of designation of, could be called pigeon chest, could be called a number of different things. And mostly, like, it's like already like the 0.0000 something percent of people have it, and even more like 0.00 something percent are female. So like very few females have pigeon chest. And with a female body, you then don't have breast development. Your body then, like, you have like a bone that protrudes, and clothes aren't fitting, and just all the things, like all of the needing to protect my body from being found out, feeling so unlovable, because everything, of course, speaking of like representation on media or in media, for all of us as human beings, like, is so important, because when you don't see somebody like you succeeding or being loved or being, recognized, because even what I was going through was something where my family didn't really know the extent of how excruciating it could be to be in my body. And so it was just kind of not spoken to. And so there was just a painful, like, existence around that very early on for me. And for me, then it really, like, because there were many other things about childhood and growing up where I was already disassociating quite a bit. So much of it was like to protect my body, and the pain of, like, being deemed a female in society. I always felt very much in danger, and not it wasn't fair, like, all those things. And I took it out on my own self in a very sort of self-attacking way. And then I did, though, always love men, not meaning like romantically, but like there was something about men that I really always felt something like in an ease with. So I got very curious about men and their experience very early on in my life, and really got to know the energy of men that was so much more often, like, externally expressed when they were in pain, like, that would show up in violence or just another form of attack. And just the whole thing very early on just had these feelings about things without language. And then in the learning about being in our bodies and how each of us come into this world with likely, like, a whole slew of challenges associated with that being, and the most probably being what it means to be male or female, or where you are in that spectrum, that there is so much pain and life that the way that you're living is, like, all trying to process what that experience is. And a lot of the ways that we harm ourselves or that show up in our food and body relationship often have to do with, like, that unhealed part of just what it means to exist in our body. So that's, like, but it does, like, resonate with the whole sexual component, and just for each of us, what are those challenges about being what we see or what we're seen as being in this world, and how we navigate it. And so I was just always fascinated by that piece specifically.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that it was hard to feel seen. It was hard to feel recognized. All of these things about yourself made it hard to process the world in a way that made sense. And you've spent your life researching through, study, but also through experimentation and travel and embodiment. And so all of this pain and these experiences that you're sharing have led you to being this alchemist and this embodiment woman and this inspiring performer and journeyer. And so
Journeyer.
what are the kind of rainbow connections that got you from those pain points to where you're feeling really embodied?
Word. In much more, like, simple ways now, because sometimes I feel like the brain is like this, or it's like, is, I think, so much about being good in my body and in the current life that I'm living have to do with how behind I am with all the choices that I've made. Because just as we're born into a body that's very much unchangeable in the sense that there it is, but then you can manipulate and do other things to it, to the way that makes you then feel the most matched, soul to body, that it is that our choices are also just as much us. So meaning, like, for me, the embodiment journey and feeling really in my body has been about making peace with all of those parts of me that I felt, or the choices that I made in my life where I was still wondering the what ifs, or was feeling angry at myself for doing a certain thing, or like it really has to do, I thought I was going to simplify it. I think being embodied is all about radical self-acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully love is in there too,
Mm-hmm.
but even more than that, it's the self-acceptance part.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can really own every piece of your journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
At what age did you discover that artistic expression helped you feel more connected to your soul? Because it sounds
Yeah.
like, again, like to kind of piggyback on what Siri was saying, it sounds like one of your challenges or your struggles was that you didn't feel like your body matched your soul. and
Mm-hmm.
and that there was a disconnect for you there, and it felt uncomfortable. And so
Yeah.
I can relate in some ways. And I feel for me that artistic expression was one of my
Mm.
ways that helped me express what my inner self was experiencing
Yeah.
that didn't always match my external. And it gave me a sense of freedom that I didn't always feel in my day to day. So, is that something that you resonate with? Can you talk a little bit more about how you found your creative expression? I mean, you sing, you play the piano, you're a beautiful dancer, you're an actress. Like, help us understand, how that helped you feel like you were able to match the inner and the outer.
Yeah. Ooh, faux show. So what I love is that I think when there's an ache, the desire is to uh, have it be understood somehow, by someone, something. And I think it's not that all people that pursue the arts don't come from or come from like either stable homes or unstable homes, because there's such a variety of us, right, that finds that there's a self-expression healing, or self-expression is healing for us. But I think for me, even before I knew anything was like wrong, like with the world or with me or with relationships with parents in my life or anything, like it was just me in this world being. I loved singing and I loved dancing, and I didn't necessarily love showing it to anybody, but it was for me. I loved it. And I would like listen to the Little Mermaid soundtrack. I remember that was big when I was little.
Oh
And I would
yeah.
think to myself, like, I sound just as good as Ariel. Yep, I do. Like, I'm supposed to be this, whatever this thing is, like, this is me. So there was just like a really quick association that I had made as a young person with whatever this is feels right. Whatever this is feels like I'm very alive, you know? And so with that notion very early on, I had decided, like before anybody knew it, that I wanted to be that, so that actor person, because it did feel like actor was that thing for it. And so when I started to be more vocal about it with my family, my parents did, help by putting me into not professional dance school lessons. Like we're talking like, very, very basic park district, like dance stuff as a kid. And we would sing as a family. And when I was in 5th grade, I got to be in a like specific choir that was much more pre-professional. But it was still mostly like parents just wanting well-rounded kids, so it wasn't like seen by anybody else as something that was being taken seriously. But that was like my way to get into whatever this thing was, because acting was still kind of, how do you get there? I don't know, but I think you should sing and dance, and that's how you get there, so it was my way of climbing through. And then I think as I discovered my body feeling so different and like having all of these other sort of disembodiments, feelings, or having just this sort of juxtaposition of like joy and pain, is that, yeah, it was through self-expression that I felt any sort of relief. And it's the only thing that made anything feel like it made sense. So, yeah, I feel you, Amber. So self-expression was always somehow the thing, but again, it wasn't very public. I was super shy. And I would monologue to myself in the mirror about all of things, life and pain. So it was just a lot of like dreaming as a kid. But really taking it seriously because I believed and felt something really deep about it being what I was supposed to do. And as far as dancing was concerned, I always felt like I had a natural knack at it. And because I felt so serious about it by high school, but I still had never had training, I really like got serious with my parents about going to like a dance school. And so I did spend a couple of years with like very basic ballet training, you know, like where you are learning with young folk. So I was with a lot of like fourth graders as a high schooler and things like that. But yeah, started training and then was in show choir in high school and did go into theater school. And that was like a whole thing too of pre-professional madness and trying to get into the best school that was both academic because I was wanting to celebrate that part of myself, but also pre-professional because I really didn't want to do anything else but be an actor. And then I was dancing before acting because that felt easier to, like, it freed me more than acting. I've always been afraid of acting. I'm an actor and I'm so afraid of it. Like I prefer to do the other things that don't scare me as much because I have less pressure on them. But yeah, music and dance have always been the way that I feel the most actually in that sort of freedom zone while expressing, sometimes acting, but not as often. And maybe the blessing and the curse of those being the not as professionally sought areas for me is that I really, when I do them, there's no perfectionism attached to it as I might have attached to acting still. And so they really do just get to be these spaces of, I just appreciate myself so much when I'm in those, rooms or when I'm at the piano. And yeah.
How do you know what embodiment practice you want to do when you're feeling not embodied? What tells you what to do, and then how do you get into that, and how do you work that in your day? Do you just kind of go with whatever feels good to your body? Do you have like a set routine that you do to get you into your most embodied place?
Word. That's a great question. I would love to switch up the routine that I've been doing for so many years that it sometimes doesn't even feel like the special quality that ritual can have. Because when it becomes routine, it's a little bit less potent in a way. And I usually start the day not so much in my body as much as I am like on the page. So I've been an avid journaler for now 15 years, ever since doing, and you both probably know the Artist Way book. Yes. So that was first. Oh, girl. Oh yeah.
For you listening, I'm holding up the book. Okay.
Were you talking about it earlier? Like
no,
even today?
No, but
it's just sitting there.
I do breath work based on the book, and I do Akashic courses based on, we integrate the morning pages into the Akashic course.
Yes. Heard on, yes. So you both know the magic and the potency of it. And just also like that was, speaking of before Body Breakdown in 2011, I did the Artist Way in 2010, which opened up everything for me and got me on my first legs of healing journey with my mom specifically. And that being like the biggest sort of, mirroring and,
we gotcha.
Yeah, you got me. So, bless all the mothers out there. And what that world is when you are like that child's really in soul mission with that parent in this lifetime.
Yes.
And but yeah, the Artist Way really, really helped me with my first taste of like sovereignty. and really got to understand and honor my choices. Speaking of honoring your choices and having that be really like part of the reason why you can even be in this body in a way that feels like you're not wanting to climb out of it and, you know, just disembody. But there was that, which led actually to the breakup, which led to the body breakdown. Like everything was related to the artist way in so many ways. And then finding other transformational workshops that opened up whole worlds to me, as well. But yeah, the artist way was like my first pivotal and first absolute, like, life was never the same after this book.
Yes, me too.
When doing it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too. Age 19, that was it. It was like,
wow.
Totally.
That's
just
beautiful.
Because I didn't have a relationship to God before that, really. Not one that I could like point to.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
100% with you there. That was similarly like where I could reconcile where I was very anti whatever that was.
Yep.
Into getting that, like, all of that was my screaming and crying for allowing myself to be the spiritual person that I was without needing to attach to all the things that I had felt so squandered by, misjudged by, attacked in language by. Because I had hard experiences growing up in an Irish Catholic family, with church just feeling like the epitome of an environment that was not only cruel, like as far as like what I was information hearing about women, but also just I would stare at everyone chanting and just know that nobody knew what they were saying. Granted, maybe some people did, some people were connected, but it just felt like such blank, dead energy. And I was like, why are we robotically here and nobody's enjoying it? Like, I don't get it. Like, what's happening? You know, so just, I started not going to church as a young person. And my parents, luckily, were like, they were actually more so traditionalist than they were religious. And they allowed me to be home. And I promised them that I would be reading my Tao Te Ching book via, you know, the Day of Piglet and the
I
Tao
love that
of
book.
Pooh, and
love that book.
Exactly. So I was like, parents, I will be meditating and reading other things.
Good for you.
Yeah, that was liberating to be able to stand for that younger. But yeah, I hear you. Like such a reconnection with spirit and God.
You used the word sovereignty, and I think that word, I don't know that I even ever knew what that word meant or had even heard that word until I got onto this healing journey. Oof. And I think that is something that has become so valuable and important and a priority to me. Yeah. And Siri and I talk a lot about like codependency and enmeshment. And I, you know, I grew up, my mom, you speaking of your mom, you know, I grew up with a loving, wonderful mom, and it was very codependent and enmeshed. And so I never really, it was never cultivated in me to understand my own sovereignty and what I believed and but I know what you're talking about, that dissonance in the religious setting. Like there were aspects of it that made sense, but then there were large aspects of it that were like, I'm just doing this. It doesn't resonate with my soul. But of course, as a young child, you don't have the language for that. Yeah. But like learning how to be a sovereign woman that's a whole journey in itself, right? Like owning that and even discovering, what do I like? What does make sense to me? What is true for me? You know, and I think that word goes very much hand in hand with embodiment. Like embodying your truth means that you have to understand what it is to be a sovereign being. And I feel like the world is, the last several years, has really been an opportunity for many of us to step into that and own that.
Yes.
I would love to hear what you've discovered about that. What does it mean for
Yeah.
you to be a sovereign woman? What are
Yeah.
what have you discovered that are your truths, that maybe you didn't have any idea about in the past, right?
Yeah, sure. And then also the like continual, like every year we can ask ourselves that question and we're like, well, at that
Right.
time it meant this. And now building on that, it is also this and this and this. It's like it's like the journey that
It's
we're
ever
on is
evolving. Yeah,
sovereignty, isn't it? Yeah.
totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In every given moment. I mean, Siri and I talk
Hmm.
about that, right? We'll kind of
Yeah.
coach each other. And oftentimes I will say, like, well, how does that feel? How
Yeah.
does that feel to you in this moment? Like, I can tell you what I think. I could tell you my opinion about something, but
Mm.
really at the end of the day, like, how does that feel within your body?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is true for you? What feels, right for you? And
Yeah.
when you're a people pleaser and a codependent, shifting out of that, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what feels good for me. I don't know what feels, it's like it's a
Yes. Yes.
practice.
Heard on that. Actually, something that really peaks for me right now is like, oh, now this is good stuff. Being that I think all of us at some point in our lives, this is my projection, but I think I'm on it, that at some point in our lives, our bodies do become more sensitive. For
Mm.
some of us, it's earlier than others. For some of us, maybe it hits us in a way where we don't quite pick up on it because it's when we're much, much older. And I think sometimes the buildup of all things, we just kind of put it on to aging or something. Or like, oh yeah, when you go and grow up, your metabolism is shot. And that's why this or your body aches. But I think overall, it's like there is a journey of our bodies becoming more sensitive. And I think the sort of journey of sovereignty for me that's so interesting just in this latest circle of like 2023 is that coming from someone who is certainly a people pleaser, but I like the nuance of that is so much more of I want no one to be excluded in this experience that I'm having. Like I want it to be that this can be shared. It comes from a space of love, of like
Mm.
I literally don't feel the happiness if I feel there is a separation happening. Granted, I think that's also like a clinging because I spent so much of my life and still do feeling like a disconnect to spirit, life, the flow, because I'm so caught up. I'm not susceptible to that. But all this to say, in my often indecision due to wanting to do everything, include everyone, make sure all feel loved and safe as I would hope to feel, I can sometimes be at a standstill. And this whole year has been this sort of journey of like, oh, my body is telling me very clearly, even if my brain is like on a different level or my heart would rather this, it's like my body is like, nope. Like I have fear seething through my body, or I have, like I'm with this human being and it doesn't feel safe, or I am, and I think getting to this point in my life where I already know myself as a courageous woman. So it's not a matter of like, am I afraid? And that's why I'm having this body response. It's like, no, like I'm just able to trust my body in a much different way after though going through in these recent last few years, a sense of betraying my body's knowing because of the super supreme pressures, and the not wanting to not be loved and love, that came up, all of those, everything that's really come up over these last few years. It's been like peak point divisive matters, whether it has to do with body sovereignty of, the female body, of vaccine, no vaccine body, of what color body you are and your safety, where you're placed in this world and your body's safety, like just everything is peaked. And all I know is that my body knows more than my brain and my heart at this point, even if I hate it. But so sovereignty for me is about knowing that me in this container is the world, and that it is the world for me. and it needn't be everyone else's world,
Mm-hmm.
but it is my world.
Mm-hmm.
And learning more and more as life goes on, how to be in that world in a way that feels good, you know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So well spoken. Oh, I feel like our parents' generation don't have the words for what you're saying. They just relate to everything in such a traditional way that's been passed down to them. And then it's just like putting band-aids on all of it.
Yeah.
And then that band-aid requires another band-aid. And I feel like what you're talking about actually makes me want to cry. Is like just taking off all these band-aids and being like, what is here now? Like when you were talking about the phoenix rising. And just like, who am I without any of it?
Oof.
That sounds like your journey.
Yeah. But you know what? At the same time, right? Like, I'm learning just now how to love myself when I decide to put a band-aid back on for a little bit and not make myself wrong either. Because I think I got so used to what that freedom of being like Ash was, which you really can't create. You know what I mean? It's not like I created my body breakdown and life breakdown. Like, I wouldn't have chosen that at the time. I didn't know that that meant anything but like death, but when you're in it, and then if you have the opportunity to rise from it, or if you make it to rise from it, it does end up being a pivotal point that I think all of us, when we have ours, because I don't think anybody doesn't have theirs in some form or other. Well, that's not true. I don't know. No, I don't know. Do we all crash and burn? Yeah, I think we do.
I think some.
We all have
so.
aging. We all have aging.
Yeah.
We all have sickness. We all have death.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is that it arrives when it does, and maybe multiple times, but in different ways. Yeah. And somebody dies in your life and you're like, oh, that was it. So yes, it happens.
Yeah.
And I think, again, the like not coveting that time though, at the same time, is something that I'm working with still. Like, it's a kind of consistent reminder to like not covet past transformations, not covet past times where life allowed me to be Ash and rise victoriously. Like, trust that even now in this middle space, I am rising, and maybe there is like another band-aid to pull off that I didn't know existed. I think that's maybe more of what it is. It's like, once you're Ash, then there's something else. Like, there's always something more and more and more. And this is another biggie. And I'm sure you both would be like, yes, like this sort of a snap, but this just comes to me now, which is that when we're processing what we're processing, we could have not processed it before, so like when it arrives, it's like, yeah, it's because you were maybe game to do it earlier, like in your mind and your heart and your body, but you couldn't have, like, it is only arriving now because this was and is the time for you now,
That's right. Yeah. The spiral. We come back around and we're ready on a deeper level.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
When you said, does everybody crash and burn? I think that, you're talking about our parents' generation. I think there was some crashing and burning happening that was like, no, this is not happening.
Yeah.
We are good. We are the perfect family. But my little empathic, sensitive soul self was like, I feel like there's some crashing and burning happening, but nobody's talking about it. So I guess we're okay. But why the fuck do I feel like something is happening?
Yeah.
And so, in my life and with my children, obviously, I'm not going to just like vomit all the crashing and burning, because I want them to feel safe. Like mom's okay. And also allow them to see some of my human crashing and burning, because Otherwise, that creates a disconnect too, I think. Like,
because they know.
Because they know and they
do.
feel it. They feel it energetically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, I think every human, if you're in this human experience, you have ups and downs, ebbs and flows, crashes and burns, devastation, you know, ashes, all of that. And it's, are you willing to, you know, are you courageous to enough to like say, this is happening, right? Even if you don't totally understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's these conversations.
Yeah.
You know, and like where you're at right now, I don't know the specifics of the details, but I certainly know that I have been on my journey. I've had different phases that have felt like I'm in between. You know, it's like, okay, like I've left that. That's not my life right now. And I know there's something else. I feel it. And yet I'm in this in between. And it's like, whoo, it can be really exciting and magical. And it can also be really terrifying and uncomfortable. It can be all of it. But what if you were to allow yourself to be in the space of exciting possibilities, magic, like what does your soul long to experience and create? What version of you are you feeling yourself, you know, merging with?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like right now, speaking to getting a sort of like a version of a rejection email this morning about a job that I was seeking to support the life I'm wanting to create, but it not being the actual thing exactly, right? Like it being the thing that I could do that wouldn't take from me, where I could exercise my skills of person to person stuff, car knowledge, because I am like a car knowledge filled human due to many, many years of training on that aspect. And it kind of reconfirmed for me right before jumping on that it's like, and jumping into also moving soon and prices being 3 times more than what I'm currently paying. And I make much less than I even used to make 12 years ago. And I'm like, none of it makes sense. And it feels like there's permission slips everywhere. Like I need a permission slip to live well, a permission slip to be allowed to express myself here, all these things. And it's like, the life that I am creating for myself is one of no one else's permission slips but mine, because if anything, they're the echoes, right? They're like the confirmations of my fear or of any of our fear, that like when we get this rejection, it's like, oh, it's confirming that I don't have a right to give myself this permission slip because somebody else didn't give it to me also. So like, okay. You know, so just like all the ways that, you know, there's just this fear of discovering even who I am. Because in my in-between right now, it's like, it's not that I haven't given my all to so many different areas. And I also know that there's something to be said about just focusing on one. But I swear, when I focus on just one, I'm never super happy about it. Because I'm like, that's not me either.
Are you a manifesting generator?
Yes.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
What are you both?
I'm a Manny Gen, but she's a projector.
I'm a projector.
Yeah. Oh, man, you know, one of my morning reads right now that I'm hardly getting to is like, because I have other rituals right now where I'm like taking from old journals and writing those things out for 10 minutes. And I'm writing my own journals, and I have a 5 a.m. club I've been tapping into, and just whatever those beautiful things are. One of the other things that I would hope to do soon is I have my human design book that I'm wanting to study more to like learn the whole scope of.
Our last 2 episodes were about human design, so go back and watch them.
Oh my gosh, I will.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that feels on the path. Yes. Yeah.
So it makes sense. It makes sense, Jenna, that you're so good at so many things and that it's hard to choose and that you don't want to just limit yourself to one thing. No, it makes so much sense. Because
like, choose.
Yeah.
Well, I do and I don't, because I can't just live like how I'd love to live yet, you know, where there's no income coming through. Not yet. I would love that. But
Can
not
I
yet. Go ahead.
interrupt?
Yes.
I really need to ask this before we close.
Oh, sure.
Were you on Dancing with the Stars?
No. No, but there is a Jenna Johnson. So actually what should be probably typed into any information about this podcast, because there is a famous Jenna Johnson from Dancing with the Stars
Okay.
who on IMDb has gotten intertwined with my thing, and there's no way of changing it, no matter how many times I try to edit. But I am on IMDb married to her husband.
Oh
Yes,
my
no.
God, that's
I
cray
am not
cray.
she, but she is another fantastic dancer that I knew way before Dancing with the Stars, because I used to YouTube like dance videos when I was younger. And there was this beautiful video of her dancing to a what's gold? Some band with the name Gold in it. And she's doing a partner dance with somebody. She's probably like 12 or something. And that was when I first discovered her. So I've been like on Jenna Johnson's, she's been on my radar, you know, for a very long time. But yeah, there's many Jenna Johnsons out there. So I go by Jenna C Johnson, just so that it's Googleable and so that I'm not mistaken for Dancing with the Stars, Jenna Johnson. Yeah.
Yes.
So no, it's not me.
Well,
But
it's
Not me yet.
It
Not me yet.
seems like you, because we've seen your dancing and you're very good. So
Mhm.
we totally bought that it was you, because I mean, you're incredible.
Thank you so much. Maybe that's going to be something that I haven't thought that I would do, but I will be on Dancing with the Stars.
You hear that? You hear that? This is happening. And so it is.
So it is. And so it is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But also, and so it is that though I feel the last couple of months I've felt on a different wavelength, what I was very excited about when I was traveling to Europe in August over this past year was that just like there's so much about that kind of the part of me that comes out when traveling is this part of me that feels her most aligned with the part of me that loves to connect and does so well with that, you know, across all barriers of language, gender, ages, what people do. It's just like, it's that superpower of mine. And I want to be able to share the joy of what that sort of connecting with all walks is on a bigger scale in a travel show sort of a way. And
That's what I was just thinking.
I like it.
Yeah. So that is on my heart and brain.
So today is 12/12 portal, new moon in Sagittarius. This is a perfect time to set these intentions and put it out there and have these visions. And so Sagittarius is all about expansion and dreaming big and adventure. So everything you're talking about right now this is the perfect time that you are speaking this into your reality.
Right.
So we're going to wrap it up because we've taken a lot of your time, but I want to hear, I think we know, but just if you could, like, what is the embodied woman to you? And when do you feel you're most embodied?
Love it. So the embodied woman is someone who, at the very moment that she is existing in, is in agreement with all the pieces of who she is. She's in agreement with, like, this is the body I'm in. Check, got that. This is the moment of life that I'm finding myself in. How I got here, cool. Yeah, I'm here. Cool. Got that. I am in agreement with all of the past. And I'm in agreement with being okay right here, even though the future is whatever that looks like to us at that moment, uncertain, scary, exciting, you know, whatever variation. But like, it's really the embodied woman, the embodied human is I'm in agreement with all of these elements. And here I am. And right.
Yeah. So that
And that is
sounds like
also,
freedom.
yes,
That is freedom.
yes.
Yeah. So
Freedom
when do
also in
you,
self-acceptance, like
yeah.
Mage.
So
Yeah.
when do you feel the most free and the
Mhm.
most at peace and the
Mhm.
most in self-acceptance?
Yeah. I interestingly, in these last few weeks of like a lot of rage coming up for me, I have felt so embodied. Just
Mm.
because it wasn't a knowing that I was withholding things or that there was too much stimming beneath the surface. I don't even think it was that. It was just like I was able to feel and like erupt. It wasn't clean. I'm still processing, the how to heal pieces now of what came to be, but what I felt through that was just complete embodiment of like all of my past, all of my current, all of what needed to come, or else I would have felt like, you know, just like I would have imploded. Um, so I am feeling the most embodied lately when I am fully expressed beyond caring what other people are going to think of it. Again, I'd like to work on all of that also, but just the expression being very, very freeing and embodying feeling that. And absolutely when I dance, and absolutely when I'm singing and making music in collaboration with others. Like I'll feel it when I'm just on my own, but I hardly feel it when I'm just singing a song. It's like when I'm singing in collaboration with a piano, when I'm singing in collaboration with somebody else, when I'm just like when music clicks. And again, while I love it in acting, it's I kind of like thinking like acting is what I don't know. Like I still don't ever want to not be an actor because I've tried that over the last few months too. And I'm like, I'm not an actor anymore. Let me try this on, hate it. So I am one. But yeah, it's music. It's music with others. And it's expressing fully with others witnessing. Or I could be on my own too, but just a full expression of my emotions. And when I'm in conversation, real connective conversation, I feel the most embodied.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna, last question here is what would you tell whoever's listening, whether it's a man or a woman or a child or an elder, what would you tell them if they're feeling disconnected or inauthentic or not aligned? What would your advice or guidance be to them?
I would say anywhere where there is stuckedness, there is a conversation that hasn't been had. So even though we think it's about the business that we're not getting off the ground or the whatever thing we're too afraid to do or any of those things, it's always there's some conversation that could be had right now that would aid you, even if it feels completely separate. And I do also think it doesn't need to always be the most monumental one, because also maybe you don't even know that one exists yet. But I think it's about like, where is there a lack of it being actually as good as it can be in your life with someone, something. And I'm not perfect at this, but I know that though to be true for me. And yeah. And to be okay with starting small. But it builds your self-trust.
Those conversations, the ones that we probably all just thought of, sometimes feel like impossible.
Sure. 100. And I think the both and of that too is, speaking of sovereignty, Amber, earlier too, right? Is like sometimes, and I don't think I have an answer to it. I'm in exploration of it, but I think sometimes it's like, sometimes a conversation is impossible if you feel like you need it to go a certain way. Like I think any
Ooh,
conversation that you feel like needs to go a certain way in order for it to feel good or feel heard or feel whatever, that you're right. That is an impossible conversation. So until you can get that out,
damn,
you're right.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's real good.
That is, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway for me is
Yeah, I feel the same thing.
the intention is
Mhm.
to fully express, not
Mm.
how it's received, how it goes. It's
Whew.
to fully express. That is the
Yeah.
practice. That is the
Yeah.
freedom. That's where the freedom is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just all clip that little part of the episode and like
Yeah.
put that little audio right there to listen to at that
Yeah.
point that you get to every day.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is that is something that is so, it's a practice of arriving at that place where you're like, I'm going, and Siri and I've talked about this lately, like I'm going to express in my most authentic way, in as loving and an honest and kind way as I possibly can. And I'm going to just be with how it's received. And
Mhm.
if it's received in a way that makes me feel uncomfortable, like, okay,
Yeah.
because I know that I'm being true to myself. And I have done the opposite of that for much of my life. And that did not work for me. So I'm trying this on. I'm trying this new way on. And it's like, ooh, oh, this feels good. Or, ooh, that's a little, but
Yes.
overall, it's like, yes, this is the way that I'm choosing. This feels better than the other way.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Dang.
Mm,
Yes.
right on. Right on.
Jenna, thank you for
Thank
bringing
you.
your embodied self here, for your complete raw honesty. Because when we peel back the curtain and we show our true self, like you're liberating everyone to have permission to just be freaking human. Why am I saying frickin'? I can say fuck. Fucking
you
human.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing that's so great about it is like we have moments where we're like, I got this shit figured out. Like I am good. And then we have other moments where we're like, what the fuck? I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's next. I'm freaking out. And it's like, it's all part of this journey.
Yes.
And right, like it's the journey of sovereignty and embodiment and healing
Yes.
and being all of who we were born to be. And it's like there's room for it all.
This comes up as a quickie. Okay, so
I like quickies.
all of us, okay, good. Here's a quickie. Like all of us here and so many of our people that we love so much, their ultimate is like to create spaces where people feel free to be,
Yes.
you know, and what I just through both of you sharing got was like, oh, how hard do I work at that for me though? How hard do I work at that for me? Like not always as hard as I do for the concept of how I do it in a bigger, broader way for others, right? I'm like, oh, how do I really create space for me to feel entirely free to be like that? So I love that you were saying and reflecting that that's what I'm doing and that we are doing through having this conversation. And also, cool, that's a mirror for me right now. So thank you. Thank you for mirroring that.
My honor. Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.
So just out loud, where do you want people to point to your Instagram?
Sure.
Your Instagram has everything. Is that where we go, or your web?
Yes, I would say
Yeah.
my Instagram. Well, okay, so right now, because the bio and my love of words haven't found out how to put it all in there yet, like as far as like putting the link to my embodiment Instagram on my main Instagram, and I haven't been as in my embodiment Instagram over the last number of months. Best place to find me would be Jenna J. So Jenna, JENNA JAI. That's the Instagram handle.
Got it.
I can be Googled easiest with Jenna C Johnson. I can also be found anywhere, any platform through Jenna C Johnson very easily. And my coaching is this is embodiment, and that is also my Instagram handle. And the website for that would be thisisembodiment.com. And I love working as a coach with, because we didn't even talk about disordered eating and things like that, and just all the ways that we deal with the unprocessed stuff of our environment and ourselves and our parents through how we are, medicating. But I have loved talking specifically with men who are binge eaters. Like, it's been so healing to talk to the person on the other end of the line as far as, sexuality or gender, but then also really looking at this area that is, really takes a hold on many of us, but I'd say more often with women. But I love working with human beings on their food and body challenges.
So needed. You're so needed in all the ways that you show up. And we so appreciate you, Jenna. Thank you so much. And I cannot wait to hang out with you in person, because we've never hung out in person and I want to hang out with you in person.
And we met at the beginning of this year. How fantastic that this whole, full circle with this. And yes.
Yay.
Yay.
Well,
All
know
right.
that we are holding you and loving you and holding the vision for your greatest dreams on the other side of this in between. And we know that it's possible, and we know that it wouldn't be in your heart if it wasn't meant for you. So we help each other in that when we forget sometimes. So I just want to say that to you, that we will hold that vision for you as you move through this transition period.
I appreciate that. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
Jenna.
beautiful day, and we will see you soon, and
Yes, see you soon.
we'll dance together.
Yes, we absolutely will. I'll talk to you very soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, good stuff.
I love how every interview is so unique, and we never know what journey we're going to go on. And we never know the way that they're going to touch us and the way that we're going to touch them. And when souls come together, it is this alchemy. When souls come together, these three souls, us, and then the people listening, we come together and we change each other. The chemistry changes each other. Just even if it's just one word or one phrase or one new realization, we change each other's lives with that one interaction. I think that's what's so special about what we're getting to do, that we have the freedom that a lot of women don't have to be publicly saying whatever we want to say, expressing whatever we want to express, talking to whoever we want to talk to about whatever we want to talk to you about. Like, we are so fortunate that we get to have all of this freedom to just fuck up and explore and then try again and then reinvent ourselves and like talk about it while we're doing it and letting it be all messy in the middle of it and expressing it out loud. And like, we don't have to pretend and hide and fit into these boxes. Like, we're in such an exciting time, an exciting place in time and in our lives and as women, and getting to support each other in this way and doing it publicly. Like, it's pretty freaking cool. Why do I keep saying freaking today? What the heck? I don't know. I curse, but it's cool.
It's really cool. And I just had this little aha that made me feel emotional. We're talking about embodiment, right? And every episode we ask what their embodiment practices are and what their tools are. And what I just realized is this podcast is one of the most incredible embodiment practices because we are literally forced in a good way, in the best way possible, to be in the present moment. Like exactly what you said. I had no idea what this conversation was going to be today. No idea. And so it brings me into the present moment where I'm literally like, I'm present, I'm listening, I'm paying attention, and then I'm responding, and I'm like discovering as I go. I mean,
It's improv.
It is. And that's what every embodiment practice is about, coming into the present moment. If you think about it, like movement, dance, the reason why it's so, and it's about freedom. Embodiment is freedom.
Yeah.
Dancing brings me into the present moment in a way that feels so free, right? These conversations brings me freedom because I'm here in this present moment. I'm not anywhere else. I'm not in my head. I'm here, right? Breathing. When you do your breath work, like you're in the moment, you're focusing on the breath coming in and the breath going out. That's what it is. That's the key. That's freedom. That's embodiment. Present moment. And we get to do that in these conversations. And like you said, like have these magical moments with people that we're like creating instant love fests with, you know?
Yeah. And transformation.
Yeah.
Like because of that safety and that authenticity. Like no one that's come on here has been inauthentic.
Right.
You know, because obviously this is the embodied woman and the authentic creative. I just want to say, like, we are talking to these authentic creative people.
Absolutely.
I want Jenna to come to breathwork again. She's been before, but because she was talking about feeling so embodied when she was expressing her rage. And I was like, oh my God, we need to do some primal screaming together. Let's, you know, because that's interesting. That's an interesting answer. It's very unique and it's so true. And it's like, we don't normally, because we judge it.
Yeah.
We judge rage.
Yeah.
We don't normally say, oh, actually, that's when I feel embodied. It's like, that's pretty radical to say that. And I love it because it's so honest.
And you know what? You're so right. Like I've shared with you conversations that I've had in my car with God.
Yeah.
When I'm not feeling very happy about my life. And I mean, I am like in full expression of everything I'm feeling. And there is some judgment I'm having on myself that's like not a good thing. But I'll tell you what, every time after one of those conversations, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I like, and it's a safe place because I know I'm in my car and there's nobody around me. And I know God or source or universe or whatever, like, or my soul, like loves me like in every expression. And I'm just releasing just releasing. I mean, when she was talking about her body, back in 2011 and like, you know, body acne and this and that, like, I've talked about this before, how when my back was the thing, right, that's what my breakdown was.
Yeah. I was thinking about that when she said it.
The book that I read, Healing Back Pain, the Mind Body Connection, he talks about rage.
Okay.
And I was like,
repressed rage. Yeah.
Yes. He talked about rage and repressed anger. And I remember reading it, like a part of me was like, I'm not an angry person. Right. But I was like, I couldn't deny what the fuck my body was like trying to tell me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what she said. She was like her mind might be telling her all these things and her heart might be, but her body is like undeniable. Like you cannot ignore that. And I think that's what's so amazing about our bodies. It's like the wisdom. It's like, I couldn't pretend like there wasn't something going on when my back became, you know, like this debilitating pain. It was like, there was no more denying. There was rage. There was a lot of rage. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when that saying of, if you don't listen to the body when it whispers, it's going to scream.
Yep. Yeah.
And how we decide to respond to what our body is saying is what determines our outcomes.
Yep.
For if we're going to take the highway to hell or the highway to enlightenment, is
highway to hell.
Okay.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you, Amber, as always, for bringing your listening and your presence and your ability to ask incredible questions. Thank you. And
You as well.
thank you to Jenna. When you listen to this, we appreciate you so much. And thank you guys, listeners, for being here and coming on this wild journey with us. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.